Amanda. I'm glad you came by Health Connect today. Monique, is that what you go by?
Mo.
Okay, Mo, noted. Okay, so Mo, tell me a little bit about why you came in to see us today.
My family keeps putting pressure on me, and I'm really annoyed that I'm even here, to be honest. Who needs a fucking therapist to stop smoking? Like, it's not like I'm a drug addict. Like, this is ridiculous, but whatever. They're gonna shut up if I come, so here I am.
Okay, so you're here because you want to stop smoking, but you're feeling some pressure that it's everyone else thinking you do, and you're not really sure if you need to be here or you need help with that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, smoking's bad for you, so I shouldn't do it, but, it's just annoying to constantly, oh, we're so proud of you for quitting, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, shut up.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like there's some stress there, but you did come, and here we are. So are you interested in figuring out what we can do while you're here?
Yeah, I'm here, so I might as well, right?
Okay. All right. Well, since you're here, why don't we consider some of the reasons why? Can you give me a little bit of information about what things did encourage you to come despite really not wanting to?
Obviously, I talked to my family, but I guess maybe they're pushing me because my dad just recently passed away, and he had lung disease, and it was pretty bad to watch him die like that, and how his health is effed up, and I've been kind of early signs of whatever, I don't know, but coughing up stuff in the morning and being short of breath, and just, I guess my health is probably not the best. I don't know, but it's probably a big reason, I guess.
Okay. Well, first off, I'd say I'm very sorry to hear that you've been through that loss. I know that it must be difficult for you. I'm sure it is. And it sounds like in that loss, it's kind of given you an eye-opener about your own health and some things that you've identified as maybe some motivations in seeing what happened to your father. Okay? So you said you've been coughing up some things. Have you gone to see a doctor yet?
No, because I don't want to hear about my health. I don't want to hear that that's something that's wrong with me, and it's just better to avoid it than to deal with it, I guess.
Maybe experiencing some fear or worry about what you'll find out, and if you're kind of headed in the same direction of your father.
Yeah, I was there when, the whole process when he started dying, and to think that might happen to me, I just would rather not know. So.
Okay. Well, it sounds like that is something you've been considering and something that gave you some courage and encouragement to come here today. So, how long with you have you been smoking?
55 now. I probably started in my dabbling like 18, 19, but kind of really started smoking pretty consistently around 26, 25. I got a full-time job, and bills, and college is over, so now it's like, welcome to the real world, jackass, and, all the stress that comes with having to be independent now, and I guess it's just kind of started out as a dabble habit and became part of my routine,
So it kind of feels like as life has gone on and this becoming an adult and having all these adult stressors has kind of contributed some to increased smoking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
And how often and how much do you think you smoke? Or?
I smoke every day. It increases or decreases depending on stress, I guess, but probably like a pack and a half every 2 days or so. So I go through probably 2.5, 3 packs a week. So.
And do you identify that as being too much, or is that a concern to you?
I've been coughing up shit, so I guess it's probably a concern now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So it sounds like, again, that there's some consideration not only of what happened to your father, but you're starting to notice some signs for you medically that could be indicators that you want to. So there's some emotional there, there's some medical concern. Um, and again, you said you have avoided seeing a doctor. Okay, all right,
Yeah, I'm not interested in that right now.
okay. So looking at this, have you ever in the past attempted to stop smoking?
Yeah, a few times. Probably in my early 30s, and then probably again mid 30s, early 40s, kind of. Um, I was thinking about having a relationship and children and getting married and settling down, and that kind of didn't work out. And so I kind of went back to smoking after that, and then just different life events. And then when my dad got sick, tried to kind of quit then, and um, that didn't really pan out for very long.
So there have been some attempts, but there have been factors that have, um, if I'm hearing what you're saying correctly, that have just made it very difficult to stop.
Yeah.
So reflecting on the fact that you have tried to stop, what things at that time were successful? Because you say that there were things that made it unsuccessful, but during those periods of time where you did stop and you had stopped for a period of time, what things were successful to help you with that?
I tried different things. I took a class, um, like a smoking cessation class, and tried to decrease my use, normal stuff. I chewed on plastic and chewed gum instead, or straws. Um, but eventually, didn't really help fully. So just I constantly get irritable and hungry and aggravated, and it affects me at work because I'm so on edge all the time, and so it just kind of seemed like it wasn't worth it to really quit.
So in hearing that, it seems like you know some of and have identified some of the things that were successful. You say you chewed gum and you chewed on plastic. You had some examples of things you've done. And does it, looking at those and knowing that they were successful, but then it seems like you're saying these life stressors. So the coping mechanisms were not enough at the time of those attempts to really tackle the issue and help you quit.
Yeah, no, it's good for like 2 weeks, and then a breakup or a letdown or a shitty customer. I don't know, pressures from work or whatever that looked like. It was just kind of like, F it, I'm just gonna go smoke because I'm stressed out now.
So besides the coping mechanisms you've tried, just in the I'm gonna quit, what coping do you think that you have used in lieu of smoking? Say you didn't have your cigarettes with you, or you were out, or just in general you were like, I don't want to smoke this cigarette. What other things have you tried to do um, to cope with those stressors, those bad customers, those bad days?
I mean, when I was younger, I used to do a lot of things outdoors. I used to kayak or hike or swim. Just things that I used to find enjoyable, but now are just too difficult because of my breathing is just too labored to enjoy that kind of stuff anymore. So it's kind of sucks because now the stuff that used to kind of help, I don't even have an option to use anymore. So it feels like there's nothing to do.
Okay. So, you're telling me that you had these things that you really enjoyed. It sounds like you really enjoyed being an outdoor person and doing those things. But you mentioned that your breathing has made those things very difficult to enjoy. So, health-wise, it seems like you're really noticing that it's affecting your ability to quit because you can't use a lot of the coping mechanisms that you usually do.
Yeah.
So, health-wise, let's focus on that for a moment.
All right. Well, I would you do? I mean, if you couldn't wake up in the morning and you could breathe and, you know, the stuff that you used to do that you were finding enjoyable, what would you do to cope with that?
It's kind of hard to think about what others would do. And so, here with us, we try not to give the medical advice on what to do. But it sounds like even with that, you could speak with a doctor when you get to that level of comfort. But it sounds like that is a motivational reason, and we've kind of looked at some of those to say that, we've come up with those. So in talking about all of that, could you give me like maybe your 2 top reasons that you could identify, like in a short sentence, that are your strong motivation for wanting to quit?
I guess not feel like I'm dependent on something. I guess it does feel kind of like a ball and chain or disempowering, and feeling like my parents are disappointed with that. But the main reason, probably, I don't want to end up like my dad. I don't want to go through that.
Okay. So a lot of motivation there is to feel like you could break those chains of what feels like a kind of a hopeless weight on you that is holding you back. And also looking at losing your father and maybe kind of intercepting that health aspect that would get you to that point.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have some motivation you've identified. You have some coping skills, but there may be some medical boundaries or barriers there. I apologize. Are you, at this point, you're here, you're saying you want to quit, but are you willing to put in the work? Are you willing to take action?
I guess talking it out loud, yeah, thinking about my dad is definitely the main motivator. I don't want to put my family through that, and I'm only 55. Yeah, I don't want to die before my time. So, yeah, I guess so.
So yes, there's some willingness.
Yeah.
Okay. So with coming here and maybe having some support and guidance from what we're able to offer you, what action steps do you think you could take to kind of get started down that road?
What would you do? If you were in my position, what would you do?
Well, let's look at it from your perspective, from what you've discussed with me today. Think about the things you've identified, the things that have worked in the past, and maybe come up with, for you individually, what has worked for you, what has motivated you. Maybe 3 things that you could do upcoming that would get you started on that road.
I probably could find a class somewhere. Obviously cutting back, so giving myself an allotment. That was probably the most effective thing I tried, was when you don't have access to them and you don't want to keep spending money on a new pack because they're expensive, so just don't bring them with you, then you don't have access to them. And probably trying to find something else to do when I get home instead of like going to my porch and smoking, like calling a friend or going to somebody's house or something like that. I don't know. That might work better.
So if I reflect those back to you, it seems like, first of all, you could, you've recognized that you could get out of the house, go do something, which would include, being with friends or, activities that you enjoy. It seems like you realize that maybe not taking as many with you would kind of slow down the amount because you want to not have that many a day. So, and you've also identified the financial part of that.
Yeah, that sucks.
Okay.
That probably blends so much money at 55. Not as much. Like, man, that's ridiculous. I can't even think about it.
Well, I would like for us in the time that you're going to have it before you come back, if you choose to come back and speak with me about it, maybe try to track, maybe journal, write down, or just come back prepared to talk to me about what action steps specifically you took that were successful in helping you start this. Okay?
Can't use that.